Traders, if you're watching this video, this is all about a practice round for your current events. I'm expecting you to show me that you have this written, this whole summary, a whole reaction, and just some ideas for map in your notebooks in order to, begin current event number 1, which will be assigned shortly. I'm going to start off by reading this article that I will do a practice summary and reaction for you. You can see that I have read or highlighted some of the important facts. These would be like our key details that would serve as our limited topics. These things should be helpful in helping me write a successful summary, 5 sentences long, and a 3-sentence reaction at the end. Let's read about it and find out and see what I came up with for a starting topic, limited topic in a summary. Again, you're going to be expected to write this down, but for now, learn about joining the men's club. For the second time in U.S. history, a woman is going to appear on American paper currency. So what's the controversy about? It is easy to see why the U.S. Treasury Department plans to feature a woman on the $10 bill has sparked excitement. After all, only one woman's portrait has ever appeared on the U.S. paper currency. That was Martha Washington's on $1 silver currency certificate issued in the late 1800s. Amid the cheers, however, there has also been unexpected controversy. Why the $10 bill instead of a more widely used denomination? Why replace founding father Alexander Hamilton instead of a less popular figure such as President Andrew Jackson, who's on the $20 bill? Our goal was to trigger a real conversation in this country about who are the women who helped build our country, who built our democracy. What does democracy mean to Americans? Treasury Secretary Jacob Lew said recently, that means to be what he's gotten, and much more. The U.S. Bureau of Engraving and Printing, which has designed and printed the nation's paper money since 1862, has put billions of bills into circulation. Other than the Martha Washington certificate, every one has featured a portrait of a man. Women have fared somewhat better on coins. For example, Susan B. Anthony, the 19th century social reformer who fought to get women the right to vote, was featured on a dollar coin starting in 1979. Sacagawea, the Native American guide to the Lewis and Clark expedition of 1804-1806, appeared on a dollar coin beginning in 2000. But neither of those coins is still being minted or circulated. Choosing a champion. Women's rights groups have long called for a woman on U.S. bills. Finally, last June, Lew announced that one would be featured on a new $10 note. He asked the public for help in selecting a woman who was a champion for our inclusive democracy. Several million people, many using the hashtag #TheNew10, have responded to Lew's invitation. Top contenders include former First Lady and human rights advocate Eleanor Roosevelt, abolitionist Harriet Tubman, aviator Amelia Earhart, civil rights pioneer Rosa Parks, and Susan B. Anthony. By law, no living person can appear on U.S. currency. None of those names have proved controversial to the public, but there has been a slew of complaints that the $10 bill was selected and not the $20 bill. Denomination debate. Critics point out that the $20 bill is much more widely circulated than the $10 note, both in the U.S. and abroad, and in the most common currency issued at ATMs. They say that putting a woman on the $10 note suggests that women are of lesser worth than men. We feel that it's important to have a woman's portrait on a bill that will be seen as widely as possible, says Susan Addies Stone of Women on 20s, an organization pushing for women to be featured on the $20 bill. Last year, Senator Jeanine Shaheen, a Democrat from New Hampshire, introduced legislation in Congress calling for a woman's portrait on the $20 note. But the Treasury chose the $10 bill because it's the next one due to be revised for security reasons. Paper currency is redesigned every 7 to 10 years to deter counterfeiters. Who goes, who stays? Comparisons of $10 and $20 notes have led to another debate, one about whose portrait should be replaced. Instead of switching out Alexander Hamilton, many people say it would be better to replace Andrew Jackson. Hamilton, who has been pictured on the $10 bill for 87 years, was the first Secretary of State and the architect of the U.S. finance system. Jackson's record of violence has made him less popular. As president from 1829 to 1837, he championed the Indian Removal Act of 1830, which forcefully relocated some 125,000 Native Americans. In January, Senator James Lankford, a Republican from Oklahoma, a state where that is 9% Native American, sponsored a resolution calling for Jackson to be removed. Meanwhile, the Alexander Hamilton Awareness Society began a social media campaign, Save Hamilton, to keep him on the $10 bill. So far, the Treasury has stuck to its plan for the $10 bill. Lew assured Hamilton supporters that Hamilton would remain on the bill somewhere, somehow, presumably as a secondary figure, but that only provoked more objections. That sounds pretty second class to me, presidential candidate Hillary Clinton said in July. I think a woman should have her own bill. The Treasury's decision will be announced sometime this year. The final decision will be unveiled in 2020, just in time for the centennial of the ratification of the 19th Amendment to the Constitution, which guaranteed women the right to vote. Despite the heated controversy, advocates say the fact that a woman will be seen on U.S. currency is one way or another cause for celebration. All right, boys and girls, very interesting article. I am not sure which person is going to be on the bill, but I think I heard rumors that it might be Harriet Tubman. In any case, the point is, how do we write a summary and a reaction? Let's take a look. I'm expecting you to add this to your current events section in your notebooks, and you will be taking a picture of this and submitting it to me, so be prepared to do that. This whole entire article, Joining the Women's Club, is about one single thing. If we had to say it as one word, it would be women, and women appearing on a bill. So I might write down keywords for my limited topic as currency, specifically the 10 or the 20. So I'm expecting you to write down ST for starting topic, limited topic, or LT as these. Andrew Jackson has been mentioned. We have Alex Hamilton mentioned. We have important women like Susan B. Anthony, Harriet Tubman. All those are things that you should probably have jotted down. We know that this is probably going to happen around 2020, which happens to be this year, oddly enough. And I want to use my limited topic words and my starting topic words to potentially create a topic sentence. Here's what I came up with. And I kept it really simple, so as not to spill the beans, as you'll hear me talk about in the future. A summary must be 5 sentences long. Please copy this down so you have at least one example of what a summary would look like. I start off with this. We may soon have a woman's face, right here, woman, on the $10 bill. Or, should I say, $10 or $20 bill. Probably better. Okay? Women, and now in my next sentences, I got to remember I have 4 of them. I'm going to tell more about the article and what I've found out. And I would maybe say, women in history have played an important part in the building of our country. Or maybe I should say, the development. That sounds better. Of our country. I'm hoping you see that revising is something that I constantly do and that you should constantly do as well. Let's move on. Third sentence. There has been talk about replacing Andrew Jackson or Alexander Hamilton's face with a prominent figure like Harriet Tubman or Susan B. Anthony. This has only been done once before in U.S. history with Martha Washington. Expect to see the new bill in 2020. Okay? So there's a fair summary right there for you, which would probably get a 3. All right? How about a reaction example? A reaction, remember, can be several different things. It's how you connect to the text, okay? Or the reading. We can have a text-to-text connection. We can have a text-to-self connection. Or we can have a text-to-world connection. And I'm not really sure which one I did because I wrote this before, but I would say this is more like a text-to-self or text-to-world because I think it connects well to our current time So I would go text the world on this, and here's what I'd say. Write this down. If I had to choose, I would get rid of Andrew Jackson on the $20 bill. Although he did expand the size of the country, removing Native Americans, 2020 is about social justice and equality. It would be a positive move towards showing equality in America if we make this change. Okay? I think that is pretty strong because it talks about our world really changing towards equal justice and equal rights here in America. So that's why I would go with Jackson. Okay? Now, the final thing that you have to do that I'm actually not really going to put in here is a map. You don't have to draw it. You don't have to put it in. But what I'm looking for you to do, boys and girls, is to understand the difference between a good and a bad map. Let's take a look at what I found. You would use Google to find your map, and I typed in map of Washington, D.C. I know that the Treasury Department is held in Washington, D.C., so I just need a good map of Washington, D.C. in the United States. This is not it. This shows me Washington, D.C., but it doesn't show me where it is in the United States. So I need to click on images here, and I need to peruse this and make sure that I know some states that are surrounding DC. And these are all not good. Oop, look at this. This one here is the best one I see really quick because it shows me a dot. I can compare it to where Wisconsin is, where we live, and I can see that New York is there in Florida. I get a great idea that DC is here and not in the state of Washington. All right, boys and girls. Once again, I'm hoping that you had a good experience with this current event practice. You should have a 5-sentence summary written in your notebooks and a reaction. All right, see you later.